Hi.
Hey.
Here
This
we are.
is boring.
Why?
It's just you.
What do you mean? Oh.
No more Kyle. Mm-mm. So for everyone listening, the Kyle episode came out today.
Yes.
So all y'all are caught up with us. Celine and I are like, we need to record something.
Yeah. But we're doing it. We're here.
So welcome to episode
13.
of
As
Woo. As
You.
Wow
With Celine.
and Jeremiah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey everyone, we're back. 13.
13.
We were talking about 13 a little bit.
I know. I don't know why it's an unlucky number.
Well, it was funny because you said, I don't know why it's a lucky number initially.
Or why is it anything? What's the deal with 13?
In Judaism, 13 is a lucky number. That's
I think it's also in sacred geometry. I just don't know.
Yeah.
We should have thought about this. What a bunch of dum-dums.
Should we look it up right now?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Let me just do a quick thing.
Yeah.
13.
Stop it. All right, we're pulling.
We did a little recon work.
We did some recon work.
And so in Judaism, you say...
Yeah, it's the age of the bar mitzvah, the male, the coming of age of a Jewish male is 13. For women, it's 12. That's the bat mitzvah because women are more mature than men.
Yes.
Yeah. It's also the 13 attributes of
The
God.
Torah. It's 13 in more like Christianity has to do with the Last Supper, and Jesus had 12 disciples, and Judas was the 13th, the one that betrayed Jesus.
Ew.
Satan. I love that.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of different stuff. Chinese, numerology, it's considered a lucky number. You know.
Yeah, it's so cultural.
Yeah, it depends where you're looking at it.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because there's certain number. Yeah. That's something that, and this kind of also can tie in really well with what we're talking about today, which is
Crystals.
We're talking about crystals.
We're gonna dip our toe. Do
Yeah.
some info on that.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say? How does it tie in?
So the way it ties in is just with everything, and with the name of this podcast, As Woo As You Want. I think it all again comes back to, what are you putting into whatever it is? Like,
Right.
Are you looking if the number? Let's say you were raised. I'm Jewish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was brought up, 13 was good.
Yeah.
The building that I grew up in didn't have floor 13.
Really?
So it's like,
Oh yeah.
I look at 13 and I'm like, oh, cool. But people who grew up with 13 being bad, they look at it and it's like it's like the energy of their inner world, the
Right.
like fear
It's like Friday the 13th, the horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's not necessarily a bad number in Catholicism necessarily, but I think,
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but
Just the idea of like the way you're raised, whatever culture you're brought into, whatever
Well, yeah.
religion you're brought up in, creates almost this vortex of belief, of
it's
stigma.
your constructs and what shape you.
Yeah.
And how that all kind of like unfolds
Right.
in whatever way.
Yeah. And so like with relation to crystals,
Yeah.
the way I was looking at it was like, I think in Western culture, a lot of people are like, well, these are just rocks
Yeah.
and they don't mean anything.
Yes.
But as you become more energetically sensitive and you realize everything is consciousness.
Or everything has a frequency and an energy. So this is how crystals kind of on a very like base level work. So like everything emanates a frequency and it projects into the electromagnetic field, right? We're all vibrating. And so the idea behind crystals is like certain crystals emanate a certain frequency. So some are more for grounding, some are more protection, some are more for like heart opening, calming. And so the idea behind it is that you find a certain crystal that has a certain like frequency or energy that you want to work with. And you kind of try to align your vibration with the vibration of the crystal, and that will kind of amplify its benefits. So depending on how you want to use it, so you could use it in your space in like a certain corner, like feng shui wise, that's maybe more about attracting money. And so you would use a crystal that has more of abundant energy, that has more of that frequency. So you could do it with space or on like holding them.
Right.
Yeah. So it just depends on how you're using them. And I think, you know, crystals have become very trendy. They're very, very like, you know what I mean? Like everybody's like holding their crystals. And I think that kind of sucks in a way because they are really cool and can be very powerful, but not all the time. And you kind of need to understand the mechanics behind them for them to really amplify their like vibration.
Yeah.
And a great book to read is called The Crystal Bible, and it's by Judy Hall. And she is an astrologer and uses a lot of crystals in her work. And so it's this big book with like millions of different crystals, not millions, a bunch.
Yeah.
And they all have different like properties. They relate to different chakras. So it's a pretty wild world.
Right. Well, when you were talking about the vibrational stuff,
Right.
it sounded like they relate to different chakras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing that Kyle, last episode, we were talking about colors,
Yes.
elements, seasons. So the same way that like the color red relates to your root chakra. So if you want to work on opening up part of like blockages in your root chakra, you can work with...
Is it root or is it sacral? Like second? I always thought red was second and root was more like brown. I mean, it's in the same vein, in the same like color hue, but
Yeah. Either way,
Yeah.
whichever one it is, and you want to work with that, you would use crystals that mimic that same color.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you brought up Kyle and I think that's why we wanted to do crystals was because it's kind of a continuation of last week's a little bit episode in terms of this concept of how the inner reflects the outer. And it's like kind of what you're saying, these natural pieces of the world that emanate frequency and how you can, just like Kyle was saying last week, how sometimes you can change the inside to change the outside, but sometimes you can change the outside to change the inside. And
Right.
crystals is like
It's a perfect way to do that.
perfect way to do that.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of information on crystals. But if you did want to start, I would say the Crystal Bible is a really nice intro. I mean, you have crystals. I see them right over there.
Yeah, I do. I have crystals in my studio. So for me, I really don't know a lot about crystals.
So how did you pick those?
Great question.
Yes.
I have to look over. Yeah, so hold on. I'm gonna take them and we can put them on the table.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Get them over here. Cool. Okay. Ooh.
So
Okay.
I was just actually gonna start with, well, maybe I'll say one of the first ones, one of my favorite ones is chrysanthemum.
Is that chrysanthemum?
Is it not?
Well,
What do you think it is?
it looks more amethysty
I'm sorry,
to me.
it's amethyst. You're right.
Okay.
It's amethyst.
Good. I was like, shoot.
See, that's how much I know about crystals.
Well, same. I was like, what? This is going to be a good episode.
This is
Yeah, we're doing it.
People are cracking up. Maybe I could take a photo. This is amethyst.
Okay.
So like, what's cool is
You got it.
I picked this one up first because this. I don't know how many people were like this. I'm tying all of our stuff together. This is like I the way my mind works, but this is actually going to relate back to inner child stuff. When I was a kid, I used to love like gems and rocks.
Really?
I was really into that stuff. I used to have like...
You had a rock collection?
Not a rock collection, but I used to be really into like crystals. And amethyst, which if for people who don't know, it's like a purpley kind of color. It's really, I don't know.
It's very soothing. It's a good one for soothing yourself.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I loved it. So when these crystals all came from a gem shop in Zion.
Zion National Park.
Yeah, Celine and I were actually with a bunch of friends a couple years ago. And crystals in New York, very expensive. If you fly out to Zion.
If you go to Utah.
Pay the ticket to fly to Zion.
And everything will be fine.
Enjoy your time at the park and buy your crystals, and it'll be cheaper than buying like 3 crystals at New York.
Yeah, for sure.
So amethyst, like I said, I bring it up because I think intuitively there's something, when I was a kid, I was just attracted to it.
Yeah.
And I was just like resonating with it.
Right. So amethyst is a good one to use if you're feeling like you need some self-soothing. It's a really nice one to hold, which is a nice thing to do.
It's so nice to hold. Yeah. I love this one.
Well, and I also am going to bring up that Jeremiah has all these crystals that are in different sculpted shapes.
Yes.
Which is actually... I don't know that much about it, but it's actually based on sacred geometry.
Oh my God.
So it's using these
Nikes.
Like, what is this? Like 5-pointed kind of rectangular.
Yep. They're like obelisks.
Yeah.
Little obelisks.
And so the point of that shape is actually to use in visualizations in a meditation that, based on the shape, can get into a geometric pattern. Hold on, that taps into your kind of energetic blueprint. So interesting that he has all of the shapes that Jeremiah picked are pretty much the same kind of shape. I don't think that's an accident. I feel like you should use these in your meditations now. And I can tell you which ones to put on different chakras.
Wow.
Boom.
This is amazing. Yes, these 3 were ones that intuitively, like, really feel good. This one, I'm going to be totally honest. I know it's a wild card. I got it because it was, like, different. So my brain was like...
So this is Citrine.
Okay.
So it's a yellow, orangey, clear crystal that is all about abundance. It's an abundance.
It's a tiny one.
It's the tiniest one he chose.
I'm just starting.
So
abundance work.
Abundance. I think this is shungite. So shungite is a black.
That just looked really cool.
So anything black or darker colors are protection crystals. And then these are kind of along the same lines, but I think this is green citronite.
Okay.
And so it's a greenish color. And this is a heart kind of like anxious soother. So you have a bunch of ones that are like calming.
Soothing.
Calming, protection, abundance.
Yeah. And then I know this one. I think a lot of people know this one. This is rose quartz.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a big player.
Yeah. And this is just like in its raw form.
Yeah, it's just a rock.
Like, again, we were in Zion, and I think this huge chunk was like $4 or something.
Yeah,
I mean, it was so cheap.
But it's really important when you're going and getting into crystals is you have to go and like hold each one and see which one makes you feel, because that's how it resonates with your frequency in the beginning.
Okay. Okay.
Or
Yeah.
if you're gifted one, but really being tactile and touching them is a really good way.
Can you expand on that more? Because you had said that this idea of like you hold the crystal and like you emanate your vibration into it, or it's just like a mutual vibe and you're just trying to like.
So it's sort of like, think of taking a megaphone
Okay.
and saying your intention into the world. The crystal is kind of like a megaphone. So it's going to amplify whatever you're looking for or asking for. So it depends on how you're using the crystal, though.
Okay.
So if you're using it in like a meditation or you have anxiety, right? So you'd get a more soothing crystal and you'd sit with that, you'd hold it, or you could place it over your like heart chakra or your solar plexus. And you kind of sit within the vibration that it's kind of giving to you and then you're giving it back. So it's a mutual relationship of like energy exchange.
Energy exchange. Oh, wow. Okay.
But
That's really great.
so, but if you're using like a darker stone, like an onyx, which is black,
Yeah.
it will like kind of project a boundary around you
Yes.
so that you won't be as like,
Porous.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're good, like tiger's eye, which is sort of this like, oh yeah, the little Buddha you have. Yeah, tiger's eye, which is kind of like a caramel black thing color. It's also very protection. So
We'll post.
yeah,
these.
we're gonna post all of the ones that he has
Yeah.
so that we can just feel it out.
Yeah, and the tiger's eye was really interesting too because actually last week when Kyle was here, we were chatting after the recording, and I don't know how it came up, but we were talking about crystals and stuff, and this was Melissa and I were walking in Park Slope. And there was like, one of those street fairs where they close the street down. And, there are all these stalls and you can get like cotton candy and whatever, fried Oreos and pickle, all that stuff. And there was a crystal stand. And I was like, oh, I just want to check this out. So I checked it out and I literally just gravitated towards this like tiny little Buddha carved out of tiger's eye. And I was like, this is what I want. It was like very obvious.
That's a great way of a crystal and you interacting that's beneficial for you.
Yeah, it was
And
just like,
it's on
hi.
his desk.
Yeah, it's on my desk. And what's funny too is, I think the owner told me what it was because I didn't know what kind of gem it was, and I looked it up, and like this is one of the gems that Gemini.
Oh, right.
Vibe
Because,
with.
yeah. And each of them, right. So you can go very, like, deep into it. The stone can have an astrological pairing, a season, an element. That stuff I don't know that much about, but
Yeah, maybe at one point we'll get a crystal expert. This is like our. Yeah.
yeah, we're just dipping the toe.
We're just like doing the intro because, like I said, I really don't know a lot. So, I mean, Celine was just blowing my mind. She literally, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 crystals. And she was like, yeah, this is, I mean, you guys all heard that.
Yeah, they were there. Well, so here's another like good tidbit when you're just getting into crystals is that you get them at the store, wherever you get them, Zion, your local crystal store. It's really important to cleanse them, to clear the energy that they are carrying with them from wherever they're coming. And so that like when you get them, then you guys,
Yeah.
you and the crystal
Yeah.
can just really like mesh on your vibes together. And so there's a couple different ways you can do that. Full moons are a nice time, and you would just lay them on your windowsill and leave them overnight, and like the energy of the moon will clean them.
See, that's why sorry to interrupt, but I think that's why these guys feel pretty charged to me because they're by my window.
Well, yeah, and they never leave there, right?
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they have a good weight to them. No one feels like tired.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Or you can take like a big bowl and get sea salt And then you just submerge the crystals in the sea salt and leave them overnight.
Right. No water.
No water.
Yeah.
Or you could do leave them outside in a full moon, like in nature.
Right.
Basically to just clean them.
Well, you charged your crystals.
Oh my God, I did.
Inside.
I did.
Yeah.
I brought my favorite. I brought my favorite crystals and I charged them in Zion.
So how many I've been to your place. You've got a bunch of crystals.
I do have a bunch of crystals. I've and I have. I actually sleep with a rose quartz under my pillow.
Oh.
Because remember I talk about my dreams being insane?
Yeah.
It helps. I don't know the mechanics of that. I have a bunch, and then I have a couple crystal grids in my apartment, which is using the energy of a crystal, placing it upon like a geometry.
Yeah, geometrical shape of some kind.
To kind of create an electromagnetic field that attracts. Like for me, I have one of abundance.
Yeah.
And so those are a bunch. So you can just figure that out. You just basically do crystals that attract abundance, which is citrine. It's like a little yellow one.
That's so funny.
It's so small. And so I have a bunch of crystals at home.
Huh.
And I try to clean them as often. And then I also use them when I'm working, if I can remember.
Right.
In my pocket or in something I'm wearing.
Okay.
And they're usually just dark colors, like an onyx or a tiger's eye.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. My, this guy I go to occasionally for, massage therapy.
Yeah.
He wears, I think it's onyx on his neck. But he also does, he just started, he actually is going to shaman school. It would be cool to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we should.
We might, but, he just started doing some crystal work where at the end of the massage he would
put some crystals on.
Yeah, and he just he has an array of them, and he'll just kind of let his body guide him to certain aspects, by your head, on your crown, by your feet,
I mean, I've used them in acupuncture treatments, and it's like a mixed bag. Meaning, sometimes, it's just like the podcast. There's all these different ideas, all these different modalities that can get you into more of a centered space. And I think some people just resonate more with crystals than others. So sometimes I'll do it in a treatment and it just doesn't tap in or help the person getting the treatment as I would have intended. And some people, it's just not their bag.
Yeah. It's also one of those things where I think a lot, like I was saying earlier, in Western kind of worlds particularly, it's these are just a bunch of rocks. They don't do anything. But at least for me, I think, I didn't really get into, not like I'm super into crystals, but I really enjoy them now because I feel like I am more energetically sensitive. Kind of returned back to, I think, when a lot of us are younger, we are very energetically sensitive, and then we kind of numb ourselves. But so now I really enjoy them because they're just certain ones where I just put it in my hand and it just feels
you just hold it.
It just feels nice. Yeah.
It feels comforting.
Yeah. And, I think it could be subtle. Sometimes it could be stronger. It really depends, where you are, how open you are. I'm curious to know, okay, so you'd mentioned a time where the crystal maybe didn't work on someone. Mm-hmm. What about a time where it did? Because when my, massage guy, he's done it, and there have been a couple times where every time he does it, it's pretty powerful.
Okay.
And I feel really grounded.
Yeah.
And supported. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, I did breath work a little while ago with another person that hopefully we'll have on the cast, and it almost put me in that same realm where I felt. It's funny. It's you feel more astral, but grounded.
Right. It's stoned alert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
connected.
Right.
And like supported.
Well, because I think it allows you to get a little bit out of your physicality of your body. And so you're a little bit more open, but you're still in the body.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But why? I think when it doesn't work, it's either because it's the wrong vibrational match of a crystal. It's
Yeah.
not what they need.
Okay.
Or they're not open to using it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
They're just not there, and they're not ready to like open up whatever like little gate is closed.
Yeah.
And it's just not their time.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. I was like, as we're going through this podcast, I'm like, there are going to be some people who are going to love this.
And be like, you guys are nuts.
And then there are going to be other people who are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just the way it goes when you talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, I feel like I have a lot of friends who are like, no, not crystals. And I'm like, that's fine. Whatever works for you works for you.
Yeah.
But it is a very, like, tactile way of connecting with energy that you can hold. And I think as, like, third dimension humans, it's, like, nice for us to feel.
To feel
and,
energy.
like, sense stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
But...
And the colors are really great, too.
Yeah.
Like you can honestly you can appreciate this from many perspectives. Like you can just appreciate it from an aesthetic,
Yeah.
a color type of situation. Or I feel like this. Oh no, it looks like the rose quartz is like less pink than when I had it.
It might be.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, you could appreciate it more from just like these are pretty, or energetically. I don't know.
Well, also
Yeah.
just even like how, like color therapy.
Exactly.
Like using colors in a room to change a mood. So if you don't want to be really woo-woo about it, you could just think like, hey, like a pink crystal is a nice accent in a room to like kind of lighten the mood.
Yep.
A black one is a little bit off-putting. I don't want to really go near it. Like that's sort of a way it can, like they are not. They show you exactly what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because, like, with the tiger's eye, which is kind of like a brownish tan gold situation, my room is very tan brown. Got my, the couch in the studio and the paneling, which I didn't pick, but they're all, like, kind of beige. And, like, that's, again, like, I'm a Gemini. I have a lot of air in my chart, so I surround myself with a lot of, like, grounding colors.
Earth.
I don't think I ever really knew it on a,
Conscious.
on a conscious level. I knew it on a subconscious level. But, I mean, now I know it on a conscious level. I'm like, oh, shit, I just really like these grounding colors because I need it, It, like, helps balance me.
Yeah.
And if you're the opposite, if you're super grounded, you may need something that's
Lighter.
Yeah, like anything super like silvery or like metal, I feel like is like, "Wah!"
You
like
don't like it.
not that I don't like it, but it triggers me in a certain way,
Interesting. Yeah, I guess it makes me feel like very. It's like sterile.
Right.
But maybe I'm just thinking of like a hospital.
Do you have favorite crystals? Do you have like?
Yeah, I have I actually got a crystal skull. I have a crystal skull. Literally, I have a crystal skull that is made out of rose quartz that I got actually maybe 10 or 15 years ago at a Bashar talk. Oh, I've had that for years. I love that one. That's probably one of my favorite ones. And then I have let's see. I'm really into this green citrate one. So it's very like interesting green looking kind of off shaped stone that I actually use when I do my meditations. And it's all about opening up the heart space and then creating the energy around you that's soothing and grounding. I literally love holding it.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah, I
just got it, actually.
Oh,
not too
cool.
long ago.
I haven't meditated with any of these.
I think that could be kind of an interesting thing to check out.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a cool idea.
Yeah. And then what are my other ones? Those are my 2 top favorite right now.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of them sprinkled around.
You do have a lot. It's great. And a crystal ball.
Oh my God, I do have a crystal ball, which is selenite. And selenite is a grounding one. So if you're anxious, so it's really interesting. I got this crystal ball from a birthday present from our friend Braxton. I think it was kind of a joke, but I was like, this is actually rad. Because it's this huge ball that you can just hold and you feel, I mean, you've held it.
Yeah, it's nice holding.
It's like
it's really
calming.
nice holding.
So it's just giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about my crystal ball.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
What are the other things we wanted to talk about? I talked a little bit about cleansing.
Yeah, cleaning them, taking care of them.
Yeah.
I really like that idea of like if you're curious about getting crystals, going shopping. This brought something up to me. There have been, I don't know if other people have ever felt this, but like, or maybe you have felt this, but there have definitely been times where I've gone into some stores that have like all these like woo-woo things, and it's like crystals upon crystals, and for whatever reason, it all feels like dead.
I can imagine that. Well, because I feel like it's like so much happening that it would almost cancel everything out.
Maybe.
And then I think some of them are like shitty made and like manufactured. Because it is so mass marketed, like, you know, like the ones here. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like when stuff, it's just like a Polly Pocket of a crystal. It's not like, I mean, the whole crystal industry is actually really nutso, but.
In what way?
Well, I think the mining of crystals, I think they get most.
Oh, no. Is that like an issue?
It's an issue.
Oh, shit.
But it's fine. We should know about it. It is an issue.
Okay.
Most of them come from Brazil. And then Arkansas. There's like a giant mining of crystals in Arkansas in the States. And I drove through it when I drove to Texas with my mom, and we stopped at this Crystal Mountain. It's literally called Crystal Mountain. And it's just like rocks on rocks and rocks on rocks. And so it's mining. I think the politics behind it are probably pretty shady.
Oh, Lord.
Sorry.
What kind of crystals are in Crystal Mountain? Like all sorts?
So I think the most on like our hemisphere...
Oh.
It's more like clear quartz, amethyst. I don't know where where an onyx comes from. I think that might be from a different part of the world.
Okay. Interesting.
So my mom and dad many years ago went to this healer John of God in Brazil, and in the town Epsenius, I think, is the town's name, and they have these giant like crystal kind of like mines, and so I have a bunch of crystals that are huge from Brazil that are very cool to kind of hold and be with.
Wow.
It's a different energy.
Yeah. That must be pretty intense.
Yeah.
Huh.
They're pretty neat.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, but I don't know. There have been a couple times. The
flat feeling makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I trusted that. I was like, all right, I'm just not getting anything. You know, like, I was open, but it just, nothing really resonated. And so I was like, okay, I'm leaving.
Well, I think there's a bunch of places like that in New York, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I think it's because there isn't a great intentionality behind the space and the store and the people working there.
I totally think you're right. Yes.
You know, so it's just kind of like anything goes, and so with anything, everything is going to come in, and it's not going to feel like floaty and sort of safe and grounded because no one's really putting in that intention into the space, you know, like another space.
Yeah. That's so interesting. So it's like almost in the same way as like you were saying earlier about like you put your energy into the crystal puts its energy back into you. It's like, yeah, megaphone. It's an amplifier.
Yeah. It's just a tool that you can use. I mean, I have a really good friend who does facials, and she just uses all these different stones in the facial, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I would love to have one done, but she's, like, in upstate. But so there's, like, a million different ways you can use these tools.
Yeah.
Or you could just leave them in a corner and let them kind of... But I do think it's important to kind of set an intention of what they're about.
Yeah, I mean, now I know what these mean. Wait, what's this one?
I think this is
It's also...
I think it's a subset of...
Yeah, it is.
Amethyst.
I really like amethyst.
You do?
I do.
Well, they're
It's
calmers.
a purpley and cool.
Yeah.
It's what?
They're calmers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like the grandmother, kind of.
These, like I said, those three, I was like, yeah. And
They're pretty.
And then this was the wild card was the abundance one, which is so funny. But maybe on some level, I was like, it's time.
Yeah.
You know? Cool.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I'm curious about the sacred geometry, these grids, and you're putting the crystals on them.
Yep.
One, can you explain them, and or two, like, are there references for people on that front? Because I saw that in your apartment, and I was like, whoa, now that's some woo shit that, like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But...
I can put up the links of, like, what the ones I use.
Okay, cool.
So... The idea behind it is that sacred geometry is sort of creating these grids, these maps, that if done in a certain way will kind of open up a frequency that allows higher vibrations to come in and filter down into our current state.
It's like trickle-down economics.
Yeah, basically. Or, and you use certain geometric patterns for certain different, like, intentions.
Okay.
So you could...
And you had, like, grids.
So the grids in my apartment are based on maximizing the abundance in the space. So it is based on the poles, so north, south, east, west. And then you position these, different crystals on different points.
Okay.
And then under it, you actually write an intention and place that under the grid. And then you put the crystals, set your intentions. And then, it's kind of like a daily practice where you go to the altar. Well, there are these, like, little altars and, light some Palo Santo or frankincense and just kind of cleanse that energy and, like, promote that abundance. So it's like using a pattern to get deeper into, like, it's like uncovering the DNA of stuff is sacred geometry.
Yeah. Like energy DNA.
Yeah. Like how, because it's like we've talked about it before. We use 10% of our brain and there's 90% that we're like, what's up? And like in that 90%, there are codes. It's like computers, there's like programming. And so it's sacred geometry allows you to get into your programming of like, what constructs you're living in. Why are you doing that? Can I change that? So you can use sacred geometry and then these grids for different kind of like abundance, for love, for health. Is that making sense? I mean, it's a kind of hard thing to describe.
No, that made sense for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, it's like, it's kind of back to our second episode where we were talking about how everything's energy, consciousness, whatever.
Yeah.
And tapping into that. And that's when things become woo-woo.
Yeah.
I think, and starting to feel sensitive to that, because I think everyone feels it. It's just certain people are more sensitive than other people, and it may be there's certain things that people are more sensitive than other people are. So
Yeah.
for some people, crystals may not be the thing, but
Right.
there's something else. Maybe just the colors alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's all like manipulating the tools around you in a way that like kind of amplifies what you need. Mm-hmm. Everything is representational. So you can...
So it's like you're treating your waking life as your dreaming life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And crystals are a good way to kind of like amplify that.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
It's very
to,
cool. It's a very cool
I feel like
thing.
this episode and the last episode, I'm like, it's inspiring me to look at life as like this energy playground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is really like fun.
It is fun. It can be
Yeah.
really fun. You
Yeah.
don't have to be so heavy about everything all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, hopefully, that was a helpful kind of intro for some
Yeah.
people to crystals,
Feeling some inspiration.
the world of crystals, or, an informative sesh for some people who do have crystals but wanted to learn more.
Yeah.
What's the book called again?
The Crystal Bible.
The Crystal Bible.
Judy Hall.
Judy Hall. So for our daily practice, because Celine has inspired me, if you do have crystals, check them out, look them up if you don't know what they are, and play around with holding them, playing with them, really vibing on them, and meditating with them.
Yeah. Seeing what works. And you usually need a little bit of time with each crystal. I'll say that. Give one like a week and see
Like
what
meditate for a week on one.
With one.
With one.
And be like, yes, no, and just play with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
have fun
it's
with
the thing you've been looking for.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if you don't have crystals,
Take yourself out.
take yourself out. Go on a little crystal play date.
Yeah.
And just like vibe on it. Because, do you know any good crystal places in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Selena's going to drop some good crystal knowledge.
There's one on 14th and 6th called Namaste Bookshop.
That's literally a block from where I used to grow up. Where I grew up. Where I used to grow up.
Used to grow up.
On
Yeah.
14th and 5th.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The other one I'm thinking about is called Stick, Stone, and Bones.
Okay. So,
Namaste Bookshop, Rockstar Crystals, Stick, Stone, Bone.
cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're in the New York tri-state area,
Give it a
check
go.
out these Celine approved. We got like a logo or something.
Yeah. Celine approved.
Celine approved crystal stores. And enjoy
The
the day. Enjoy your time with your gems.
Oh, love that. Bye.
Bye. Love you.